Good evening. This is the regular joint meeting of the Oakley City Council. The Oakley City Council acting as the successor agency to the Oakley Redevelopment Agency, the Oakley Public Financing Authority. This meeting is called to order at 6:30. Will the clerk please call roll?
Councilmember Fuller?
Here.
Councilmember Shaw?
Here.
Councilmember Williams?
Here.
Vice Mayor Meadows?
Here.
Mayor Henderson?
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 1.3, presentations of proclamations. We're going to start off with the first proclamation for Building Safety Month. And if I can have our chief building official meet me at the podium, please.
Whereas the City of Oakley is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential role our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play when disasters strike, and whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings, and whereas these guardians are experts in the built environment and implement the highest standards to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play, and whereas these building codes and standards include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as wildfires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month recognizes code officials for ensuring the safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings essential to our prosperity. And whereas Built to Last, the theme for Building Safety Month, encourages us all to get involved and raise awareness about building safety. And whereas during Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to building safety and acknowledge the essential role of building and fire prevention departments in protecting lives and property. Now therefore be it resolved that Hugh Henderson, Mayor of the City of Oakley, along with the members of the Oakley City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as Building Safety Month.
That on? Oh, sorry. Mayor, City Council members, thank you for this acknowledgement for Building Safety Month. We have a great small little building division here in the city, and we know that there's a lot of development going on in the city. So I'm blessed to work with a great team to make sure that permits are issued properly, inspections are done, and construction is built safely for the city. So it's an honor to work for a great department like that, or division, and I think they do a great job for the city. Thank you.
Now if we could have our police chief come up as we honor our police department.
Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Oakley Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, more than 24,500 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 38th Candlelight Vigil on May 13th, 2026, and whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which will be observed May 11th through 16th, and whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families. Now therefore be it resolved that Hugh Henderson, Mayor of the City of Oakley, along with the members of the Oakley City Council, do hereby proclaim May 11th through 16th as National Police Week in Oakley.
this acknowledgement. I know this does not happen just in Oakley, but across the nation as well. So far in this calendar year, we have lost 17 officers to felony acts. 14 of those have been to gunfire, and 3 of those have been to vehicles being used against those officers. Over the course of my career, I've known 4 officers who have lost their lives, one of which was a best friend of mine. Here in Oakley, we cannot do the law enforcement services that we conduct if it were not for the support of the community, the city council, and the city management. And I'm proud to say that we have support on all 3 of those fronts. I am proud to be an Oakley officer, and I appreciate this proclamation. Thank you.
And last but not least, we're going to honor our Public Works Division, and we'll have our Public Works Director come up and join me.
Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure and services vital to the health, quality of life, and well-being of the people in Oakley. And whereas these infrastructure and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens and leaders in Oakley to understand the importance of public works programs. And whereas 2026 marks the 66th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now therefore be it resolved that Hugh Henderson, Mayor of the City of Oakley, along with the members of the Oakley City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through 23rd as National Public Works Week.
And Billy Lee, Sang-Shalern, Public Works Director, City Engineer. Thank you for the proclamation, Mayor. City Council members and members of the public. I couldn't accept this proclamation without the help of our wonderful staff, both in our Public Works and engineering departments that help carry through the essential projects that we have in our city for our infrastructure and also for the continued maintenance of these important facilities. Thank you for the proclamation and acknowledgement.
Now we'll move to item 1.3, an update for Liberty Union High School, and we have our superintendent, Denise Regani. As she's walking up, I think it's important to know big things happened in Oakley. Freedom High School stunt team went to state on Saturday. They won the Division II title, and this is the first state title that Freedom has received since they became here in Oakley. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mayor Ward. So I just want to kind of give you an overview of what's been going on at Freedom this year. So I just wanted to hit our LCAP goals. The first one is all about physical safety and environment. The second one is the curriculum, the academic achievement. And the third one encompasses community engagement and partnerships. Overall, we're actually, our attendance has gone down this year, which seems odd, but there's just not a lot of high school students moving into the homes. So overall, our attendance has gone down a little bit this year, district-wide. So a couple things that Freedom has done this year that has been really positive and successful is that Dr. Amaro does a lot of surveys, and 85% of the students and families feel connected to the school. Something else that we've been working on are suspensions, and we just looked at it again, and they've declined year over year, month over month. which is extremely positive. In the regards to academic success, a couple years ago, Freedom, because of the scores, received ATSI, which was because of their performance for African Americans and for students with disabilities. Both groups last year improved, and so because of that, it improved over the past 2 years. We were removed out of that status, which is extremely positive. And the other part is that this year we've been really working, again, continuing this is second year with a math coach with all our schools, but with Freedom. And so we're hoping that that's going to enhance. It's in EDIA, which is basically it's an online AI instruction support that students are able to use that will help them with deficits in their math. So we're hoping that that will show signs with the scores. And the third is the partnership and stakeholder involvement. And I'm going to go through a lot of that when we go through some of the pictures. We do a lot of that at Freedom. So the first was the College and Career Night was held at Freedom this year. We had many, many colleges and students from all over the district come and check out our college and careers. We also, at this time, which was something new this year, we had the Special Ed Transition Night. So we had the Department of Rehabilitation Services there, which was huge. So we had students with needs, but as well as all of our families, because there's so much of the Department of Rehabilitation can do to support our district. And so that was extremely positive, and it was a first. Trade Union Night was our second annual. We had more than 500 individuals walk through the doors, and we had close to 33 trades represented, which was amazing. The Construction Academy is going strong. They actually they were invited to state competition this year, and they received 4th place, and they was in building tiny homes. So our Construction Academy has only been around 3 years, and they already went to state this year. So that was also a huge success. Falcon Fuel, I don't know if any of you have been there, but it's the first Friday of every month. And our life skills students put it on in the staff lounge. They serve coffee, hot chocolate, and now they've even expanded it to they have some sweets and different things that people can purchase. By Reality, the Delta Credit Union, Federal Credit Union, does this for us. And basically it allows students and through their econ classes to come through for an entire day. And basically it's kind of like, I think of it as the game of life. So you get a piece of paper with, you're married or you're single, you have how many children, this is your job. And then basically the whole day they go through and try to figure out budgeting and what they have left and what they can afford and what they can't afford and decisions that you have to make in life. And so each person gets a different scenario. Freedom students, actually, every year they organize it, but this year the students actually organized our Black Pride event, which was celebrating Black excellence, 100% student run, speakers and all, and we held that for the entire district this year in February. Again, all from Freedom. National Honor Society, I just wanted to take a picture. Tonight they had their end of year celebration, but there are more than 120 juniors that were part of the Honor Society. The state was packed, so they've increased that. And then AP night was something they did for the first time this year. All the AP teachers, and I'm going to show you the scores in a minute, they did an amazing job, and the teachers got together and said that we wanted to celebrate our AP students. So in the fall, they basically had an entire night just dedicated to students that excelled on the AP exams. Our advanced placement, as you can see, and I can't read that far away, but last year, because we're always a year behind, they took over 583 exams and basically, 714 exams in 2024. So they increased the number of exams by 22.5, and they're going to go up again this year because we're right now in the middle of AP exams. And they increased their pass rate by 9%, which was huge. District-wide, we did an amazing job, but Freedom also did by going up 9%. So that was really something we're to be proud of. And then upcoming highlights for the 26-27 school years, where we have a partnership with the Delta Federal Credit Union, and we're going to start a student-run branch at the high school. So we'll be the first in the county to do that, which is fantastic. And we're also beginning agriculture classes, and believe it or not, that idea came from the last board meeting I was at, your meeting, and I heard about all these things. I was like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. And so we went back, surveyed the kids, and the kids were like, yeah, we want to do this. Over 200 students were interested. So we are going to be starting that pathway at Freedom, which is going to be extremely helpful. And then a huge thank you. We're collaborating with the city, and the city's taking the lead in the collaboration piece. We're providing the parade, but you're providing all the space, and so we're really grateful for that Freedom's going to have a homecoming parade in downtown Oakley, and we're working on that, and so we're really excited about that collaboration and partnership. That concludes my report. If there's any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 1.4, receive an update from Oakley Elementary School District, Superintendent Jeff Palmquist.
Thank you, Mayor Henderson, esteemed council members, City Manager McMurray, staff, public. It's always a pleasure and an honor to come and present to you and to hear from you, and tonight is no different. You may remember last year when I was here, I shared our goals, and our LCAP goals follow the acronym RISE. We set those goals every 3 years, and they really do constitute our strategic plan. My own goals and my evaluation are aligned to these goals, and the work of all of our division and departments fall in line with these goals. And so they don't change over 3 years. So I shared those with you last year. They're still the same goals. However, what we do each year within those goals does change. Hard not to be inspired by the proclamations I heard here tonight. We talked about infrastructure and building and safety, and those things that were shared, all true. All things that we experience in working with the fine city departments. They're also our reality as well. They're all things that we experience in the 9 little cities that we run. And when we look at that first goal, resources and education, actually last year when I was here, I think Dr. Fuller, you had asked me, we were talking about, I shared that we were in the middle of finishing actually a facility master plan, and we talked about the potential of going out for some bonds. We finished that master plan, and that 116 pages later, what we found was sobering. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to upgrade our schools and to bring them not only into the present but into the future and to keep them safe. Just like those proclamations we heard about infrastructure and safety, it's no different for us. And so last time when I was here, we were talking about that facility master plan being completed. It was. And when we looked at what it's going to take to provide for our students and staff what is necessary, we did go forward with that bond, and that's why J&K are on the ballot. But make no mistake, what's really on the ballot there is just appropriate facilities for our students and staff. No new office for the superintendent, and nobody's getting a raise. It's all going into that infrastructure and into that safety. Some of the things that you know, because many of you went to these schools, you drive by these schools. Some of our schools are over 85 years old. Some of our schools are 60, 70% portables. And I have to commend our staff. They do an amazing job of doing the best they can with the resources that we have. But the reality is, we're never, ever, ever going to be able to address these resource issues without an investment. As a matter of fact, what the facility master plan revealed, it would take us over 2.5 years of shutting down operations. And I don't mean operations out of my office or at the district office. I mean 2.5 years of no schools, not paying one employee and not functioning at all to get to the minimum level of funding that is needed for resources in our schools. So we're not going to shut down schools for 2.5 years. That's not realistic, and it's not part of our vision and mission. And that's why, this resource piece is something that we're taking to the public, and we're asking for an investment. It is not a great time to do so. And if we think of it as a tax, or if we think of it as an expense, that is not going to work. But if we think of it as an investment, which is what it is, because every single piece of this is going to go to upgrade and make our schools safe, I think it's an investment we can justify. And I'm grateful that when I was a kid, during a major conflict with Iran, when inflation was sky high, when gas prices were even higher than they were now, when it made no sense whatsoever for anyone to invest in schools, my community did. They gave me suitable schools so that I could learn and grow. I wouldn't be here tonight. I wouldn't be in the position I am if my community didn't invest in me when it was really hard to do so. So we bring that to our public again. Please consider this investment. I promise you that this will help us make special places. I continue to make them special places, but we'll be able to do more with more rather than doing more with less. So resources and education, that first goal in our RISE is really going to be focused on that in this next year. We're confident that the public will make that investment, and then we'll set about implementing that, these resources, of course, with the accountability from all of you, the public, that comes with that. Goal 2, inclusive educational partnerships. We are incredibly proud. Our board set a priority years ago that this would be something that we continue to get better and better at. We've had over 100 parent workshops at our 9 sites in the district office, 35 district-wide family engagement workshops this year. We have a special ed parent advisory council, an African-American parent advisory council, a district English learner advisory committee, which we've always had. And we've did something different this year where all of those advisory committees came together, and we brought them together to form our, parent advisory council, which is of course open to other parents as well. But we really wanted all of these groups to see themselves as part of the same team in advocating for what we need to do as a district. As well, we've reinstituted a GATE program, and we had GATE Parent Night, Math Parent University, and the list goes on and on and on. We were so pleased that this past February, we had our 2nd annual district-wide Black History Month celebration at Delta Vista. It was incredible. The attendance was off the charts. The event was special, and we're going to continue to do that. We can't ask the community to make an investment in our schools if we're not doing everything we can to engage that same community. And so we can always do more, and we will do more. But even tonight, before I came over here, there was an African-American Parent Advisory Council meeting happening at the district office, and that is not uncommon. You will see more and more of that. Safe school climate. Last year we were, I was thanking this body and this city for partnership in the school resource officer program. That has just continued to be such an incredible base for what we're doing at our middle schools. Our middle schools this year in the California Healthy Kids Survey, every single grade level at, overall middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th reported double-digit percentage of middle school students who feel safe on campus. Growth, double-digit growth. We're talking like from high 60s to 80s. That's 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, each group. Just incredible. We had our 5th annual health and safety fair just down the street at Oakley Elementary School, and the city of Oakley always turns out for that as well. So we continue to thank you for your partnership in that. I think my final picture on the slide here is from the book table that the city set up at the health and safety fair, but we continue to appreciate your partnership in keeping our schools safe. I was pleased, honored to participate with the city in its EOC work and to learn alongside of you, and then also to think about how that would scale to the work that we do at the district office. But the S in RISE is for that safe school climate. We know that students feel safe on campus. Part of feeling safe is actually being physically safe. But a big part of it's psychological, it's emotional, it's how you feel on campus. So we need to work on the physical safety, but we're going to continue to work on the psychological safety. And I know that it's hard to divorce that kind of feeling from the SRO program. Those two things went hand in hand. So we're really grateful for that continued relationship. E, excellence in teaching and learning. That is the E in RISE. Unfortunately, our SBAC proficiency was relatively flat. We saw a little up in one area, a little down in another. We did see, however, gains for our students with disabilities, and that's very important because that percentage of our student population grows. We know that that's an area we really need to focus our efforts, and we did see some growth there. We also saw increase in our science testing and our LPAC testing. We had gains for our English language learners there. Last year, we piloted UFly, which was a language arts curriculum. This year, we implemented that across the district. Excellent returns on that so far. Still need to keep training, pruning, reviewing the data, but we have, part of that language arts curriculum is adopted across the district. As well, we're looking at, in the middle of fiscal stabilization and in trying to make sure that we make the decisions we need to financially with the meager amount of money that comes from the state. We're hoping that this week maybe what comes out of Sacramento will change some of that. But if anybody who knows education funding, that some things scale to what you all do at a city. But in education, we're often in the dark as to how much money we're going to get, how much money is going to be held back, and how we're going to rub the stones and sticks together to make some magic happen. And so in the middle of fiscal stabilization to shore up our long-term financial health, we do see some opportunities with categorical funding to invest in like arts and wellness, coaching, and some focus areas that we're looking forward to bringing, across both elementary and middle school. What's the road ahead look like for us? It's going to be implementing fiscal stabilization, whether that's through federal, state, or local dollars. It's going to be about facilities growth and modernization. Part of that is through J&K and the investment that we're hoping to see so that we can plan that phase of the work. But the other part is going to be, last year I said we were going to be looking at a bond, or we're going to be looking at a few things. Boundaries is going to be something that we're going to need to address now. We are, just like in Liberty, we're not growing as much as one might think, because you see the sticks in the ground. You think, well, that means a bunch of students are coming. We're actually pretty flat. And because of that, where we're going to have to look to adjust as it comes to, the East Cypress corridor, as that fills up and as those schools get larger, we're going to need to address boundaries so that we can position and move such that our school sites are, that they scale, that they're at capacity. And so we've got some of the preliminary work done with that. We're going to engage school leaders and we'll bring that to the community. But that's something for this next year that will be front and center, is looking at how do we adjust our boundaries. We're going to continue to align across our departments and sites. We have some exciting things happening in the way of piloting new math curriculum. We got a grant last year through Unbound Ed. I actually think I shared that with you all last year. And this year, we built our capacity as a district with representatives at different staffing levels to select a new math curriculum. So next year, we'll be piloting different programs so that the year after, we will have a district-wide new math curriculum implementation. Really proud of the process that the team has taken to hear a lot of voices, and we'll be looking at that this year. We'll be looking at the data from those pilots. And then finally, we have the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative. It's a mouthful. I try to spell it out because the acronyms, usually we lose people with some of those educationese acronyms, but the CYBHI is a really interesting opportunity that we had a grant for and that we're rolling forward with. It allows us, we have many people who provide services that are billable through insurance companies, and so this will allow us, with some of the services we provide, to bill those insurance companies for the work that we're doing on our campuses. It's a funding source for us to recoup some revenue, and it's also appropriate because we provide a lot of those services in residence on our campus. Again, I can't thank you enough for your support. I think that might be the table right there. So, thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Councilmember Fuller.
Yes. Why did you split it to J&K, and what does each one represent?
Great question. We split it because we needed, when we looked at the facility master plan, the needs were far beyond our bond capacity in one bond. We saw it line up in multiple areas. We had this need for modernization and updating. So many of our classrooms we need walls, carpets, ceilings in pretty much every classroom in the district with the exception of maybe Summer Lake and one or two other sites. We also need to do some portable replacement. You know, like a school like Garinger could have 60, 70% of the schools in portables. We have a couple portables even at Vintage that we're, trying to address because they're old and dilapidated. It's hard to invest in portables. I mean, if you've been in education, you know that those portables have a lifespan. They're not the most suitable learning environments. So portable replacement and upgrades was one huge need. And so a bond that would give us the capacity to address that was needed. But then we also had this whole safety side with, things like HVAC. You've got every piece of pavement that's more than a quarter inch uneven, we need to address in one way or another. Shade, there's a number of things that were high priorities for the community that, again, wouldn't necessarily be about updating and modernizing, but they're really on this other side around safety. So because of what the community told us in the facility master plan and what it would cost us, we split them into two discrete areas. And also so that the public could see that that's where the needs are, and they'll have their opportunity to tell us which one's more important. Hopefully both are important to them.
One other is, I haven't heard anything about an oversight committee.
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked that. If you look, mandatory fiscal accountability, we will have absolutely public oversight committee on both. The committee can do we absolutely will. We have mandatory accountability. It's independent oversight. There'll be audits, public spending disclosures, all of it.
One other, yes, I understand the portables. I was taught in one that was there since World War II, and they finally had to condemn it because the teacher next door had mice running through the classroom.
Feral cats are another thing that really like portables as well.
Yes, so I empathize with the portable situation.
It's interesting with portables too because they're easy fixes, and that's why you see them in every school district and in most campuses. But they're also very expensive to remediate and to look at some new construction on some of our sites. But anybody who's interested in that facility master plan, it is not only online, but we'd be happy to share it with you, and you could see the plans that we have really for every single site to make sure that everyone benefits. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll move to item 2, public comment. This time the public will comment on items not on the agenda. I have a couple cards already submitted to me. If you wish to speak, they're blue cards back in the lobby. Please submit them to the city clerk. The time limit will be 3 minutes. The time will be monitored, located in front of my seat. Please refrain from applause, cheering, booing, so everybody has a chance to speak. Our first, we received no public comments online tonight. Our first public comment card is Rhonda Hurd.
Good evening, Oakley City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present a healthy community concern for the summer of 2026. I'm Rhonda Hurd, a member of District 3 and a part of the Oakley Quad 4-wheel roller skating community. I'm requesting a recommendation for a continuous smooth skating surface area to be offered at the Creekside Park, located in Oakley at Creekside Way and Laurel Road. However, if a full, smooth, continuous skating ring is not an option, the second recommendation is to update a portion of the rough surface at the current Creekside Skateboard Park. The rough surface is not conducive to a four-wheel quad skating. If an update can be considered, the recommendation is for a smooth surface that against the protected fence area and the current standard structures that are in the area. And I do have a diagram if anyone is interested to see it. I have copies to pass out. Okay. The current skateboard area is estimated with a measurement from the fenced enclosed area of the nearest skateboard structure range from 36 inches with the widest of 13 feet. The average spacing between the standard structure is within 8 feet. Again, if a full arena is not an option, an approval to enhance a portion of the current skateboard surface update with a continuous smooth surface would be an enhance for family opportunities for healthy physical activity and with a mindful economic budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker and the last card I have is Bud Chaddock.
Hello, Council. Thanks for having me here. I'm going to go roughly on 4 things. The California Striped Bass, we're going to have a meeting this Thursday. It's going to be on carbon capture. We're going to have a guest speaker come there, tell us what Antioch has in store at the PG&E plant area to possibly use that as a site to pump chemicals and such under the river. So that's number 1. Anybody's invited to come. It's at the Sportsman's Yacht Club on Wilbur, and it will be at 6 o'clock, the meeting. So anyways, that's one thing. The other thing is today I was at Marsh Creek with the interns doing more studies and whatnot, and the hitch came back up the river after the big fish die off due to our high flows that we had for a previous time while it lasted anyway. So that was a positive thing. Also, the intern was in Vienna talking about our Marsh Creek at a big science deal, and it was people from all around the world. He presented Marsh Creek salmon and hitch and problems with urban environment and whatnot. And so I was like really taken back by that it's a worldwide thing now. It's been brought to everybody's attention. So that's wonderful. He's done a great job on that. The other thing is I've also been asked, I've done one podcast on, again, Delta water, fisheries, and with two big organizations that I'll try to find out when that's going to be aired. And I also got contacted by a big one in Los Angeles. So another one wants me to talk. I sent them several pictures, a lot of pictures. I think they were like, wow, yeah, we want. So tomorrow I'm talking on the phone to maybe do probably a 40-minute talk on our environment here and urban problems that arise with the environment and the fisheries and whatnot. So anyways, that was a kind of a surprise. So it's on a major podcast. I mean, big. So I'm hoping that's going to go through. That looks like it might not. Tomorrow's the interview for that. The other thing is the AI thing again. There was some Kevin O'Leary was from Shark Tank, had a huge piece of property he bought in Utah, and it's just like the size of a state almost to do it. And to me, it's near the Bear River area or Bear Lake. And again, water's the issue, just like us, and the people there are just fuming. Thank you.
That's my last public speaker. We'll move to item 3, council members' comments. Don't see any. We'll move to item 4, consent calendar.
4.1, 4.3, if you would pull, please.
4.1, 4.3.
Yes.
Move the remainder.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Fuller?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Meadows?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Aye. 4.1, Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, I can handle 4.1 and 4.3 in the same, if that's okay with you. Again, both of those, the minutes are not at least up to my standards of specificity and what happened. One of them, we talked about a budget. You kind of figured that out if you can go there, but we talked about spending $70 million, and I don't even see the figures in there, so I will vote no.
I move approval of 4.1 and 4.3.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Call for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Fuller,
No.
Councilmember Shaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Meadows.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Aye.
The motion carries 4-1.
Item 5, public hearings. 5.1, public hearing reporting of vacancies and recruitment retention efforts in response to Assembly Bill 2561. Staff will be presenting by our Administrative Director, Jerry Tata.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. We brought this first to you last year. It's a new reporting requirement that we do annually. AB 2561, what is it? It was signed into law September 22nd, 2024, and it requires public agencies to present at a public hearing once per fiscal year information that includes vacancies, recruitment, and our retention efforts. So the vacancies as of May 1st for us currently, we do break this out by bargaining unit. We do only have one bargaining unit, which is our PD, and then everyone else is unrepresented. So our department directors, we have 7 full-time equivalents in the budget. We have 0 vacancies. Our general staff unrepresented, we have 56.5 in the budget. We have currently 5 vacancies. And for the PD, our sworn PD, we have 39 FTEs in the budget. That does not include our 2 lieutenants and our police chief, and we have 5 vacancies. So we are up on our vacancy rate from last year to 9.76. I do want to note these numbers were as of May 1st. Since May 1st, we have 2 final offers that have already been approved in our unrepresented general staff, and those positions will be filled the last week of May. We have 2 in background that will take approximately 4 weeks to get through background, and then they should be brought on board, and we'll be interviewing for 1 additional in a few weeks. It just closed last week. So those 5 vacancies should be filled fairly quickly. On the PD side, we went through 2 full days of interviews last week, and we have 3 police officer trainees that we will be sending to the 207 Police Academy, which begins in September. So they're in the background process right now. It takes us a few months to get them through that process. They'll onboard with us in August, and we'll send them to the academy in September with an anticipated graduation of March 2027. For our recruitment efforts, our recruitment process, the recruitment goes through an approval to make sure that the position is approved in the budget. We do the posting. We have the review of an application. We do oral in-person panel interviews. And then we have a contingent offer that is contingent upon a background. Those backgrounds vary depending on the position. And then a final offer and orientation. And then lastly, our retention efforts. Some of the things we've done over the last few years in order to try and retain employees. We have the approval of the 5-year labor agreement that does end June 2027, so we will be doing that again this fiscal year. We implemented the STEP system that increased by 5% each year. We did a reorganization of departments to try and create opportunities for growth within our city. We have a longevity incentive for general staff. We encourage and prioritize a work-life balance, and we did add some wellness leave and additional holidays for general staff this current fiscal year. So with that, I am available for any questions you might have.
Any questions? Not seeing any questions. We'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll bring it back to the council for any deliberation or a motion.
Move approval of item 5.1.
Receive. The minutes, the agenda shows receive. You don't have to, no action required. But yes, I will second it for receiving the item. Staff report.
So the motion is to accept the report.
Accept the report, yes.
Sure.
So we have a motion and a second. Call for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Fuller,
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Meadows.
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
We'll move to 5.2, adopt an urgency ordinance to extend for 10 months and 15 days for a moratorium on the process and approval of data center land use to give city staff significant time to plan and formulate a permanent ordinance. Regulations for such use. Staff report from our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'll keep it very brief. 2 meetings ago, you imposed this moratorium. As I explained at that meeting, there's kind of a multi-step process. We have 2 years maximum by which we can have a moratorium in place. There are 2 extensions you can make. One is at the 45-day level. At that point, you can extend for essentially up to 1 year, so it's 10 months and 15 days. And then when you get to the 1 year threshold, you can extend for another year. So what we're here for is the first extension, which will extend us until April 14th of next year. April 14th was the date you adopted the moratorium, and its ordinance is pretty much the same thing that you approved the last time. We will be moving forward a workshop as directed by the council with the Planning Commission to discuss this item. But tonight I really have nothing to add that we haven't covered previously, so all you're asked to do is to extend this ordinance if that's your pleasure. I note that this was a public hearing requirement, so in order to extend after that first 45 days, we had to do a public hearing. We've noticed it, so we will allow public comment as a public hearing, but it is still a 4/5 vote. So, it will need, 4 of you will have to affirmatively vote for this in order for it to be extended. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff? That's any questions?
I hit the wrong thing.
Councilmember Williams.
So we do not have the next steps scheduled yet. That would be post this.
Correct, yes. It will happen, but we don't have a date yet.
Okay, but I remember that the mayor had directed that he was hoping things could be completed before the end of the year, so likely it'll be marching forward fairly quickly.
That is still the intention, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, not the intention, that's your direction.
Thank you.
Without seeing any further questions, we'll open the public hearing for public comment. I have 2 public comments cards. The first one is Brianna Rose.
Good evening, board members. I apologize for my unpreparedness. I just wanted to say that my name is Brianna Rose. I am a 20-year-old, and I've lived in this area my whole life. When I heard about this, I definitely wanted to make sure I came because the building of this AI data center would have significant impacts on this community. This is a fairly agricultural community, especially where I'm from, Brentwood. It's known for its farmers markets and cherry picking. And as we know, these AI data centers will consume vast and significant amounts of water. And I feel that as though there is a lot of economic appeal to this, an extension should be favorable just to keep the people's health in mind, the community's health in mind, because as we've seen across the country, these data centers have had very detrimental impacts on the environment and people's health. So that's it.
Our next public speaker will be Bud Chaddick.
Yes, thanks again, Council. There's also very well taken. It sounds like a broken record, I know, but it's a lot of big investment groups just like pushing this stuff to get money out of people and make a portfolio out of it. And I've seen some very good programs on that recently. And the one in Utah especially, everybody's pretty up in arms. Number one, they don't have the water for Utah to do it unless they go to their cleanest source, which would be like the Bear River, Bear Lake area, from what I can gather, looking at the maps and everything I've been looking at. And the other thing is that the health and welfare of the people here, the environment. Right now, there's a lot of plastics going in the water, and cooling these things they go over chips and the expansion, contraction, all this stuff as far as cooling. Stuff leaks back in the water. I mean, it's coming down to that. We've already got a world that's, I just got a message from a guy telling me about a bunch of plastics and anchovies now they're finding, which feed the other fish that everybody's buying. So that's the next thing. So that just shows you how it just comes back to us in one way or another that way as far as the environmental part of it. I just really am glad there's right now a moratorium, but I'm also, always very leery about, this kind of thing because of big money, wearing suits and shaking hands and having cocktails over, that's a great idea always, and invest. And, it's the richest people end up, even if they lose money, they get it back for losses. So, it's not like my tax return, I'll put it to you that way. So I just like an affirmative no on this. I know you got to go through protocol, but I mean, it just is, I know it's got to go through a process, but I think we better get everybody in a row as far as people that live in the area and, make a really good attempt to get a hold of everybody you can. Otherwise, I look at it as just another shill. That's how I look at it. And that's my worry about it, because I've seen things like this happen before in other things. And it's a little bit worrisome. This is also one thing I'll probably be talking to him about, tomorrow, as an overall picture of, the health of the Delta and whatnot. Thank you.
That was my last public speaker. We'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for deliberation. Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chaddick. Thank you, ma'am. Beck, I didn't get your last name, but thank you. In pondering this, Oakley is confronting a issue that throughout the United States is contributing or confronting 98 communities across the United States disallowed construction permits for data centers in the second quarter of 2025. So it's there. We know that they're coming about, but we really don't know quite what we're dealing with yet. We're moving forward. It is under, all I can say is an oligarchy. Oligarchs, they are recognized now, Elon Musk, Sam Altman, and Mark Zuckerberg, among others that are actually driving it, driving the industry, driving the development data centers. So it's very confined, and we really don't know quite where it's going to go. In that, we do know that they use a lot of energy. 25% of the energy or electricity produced in Virginia is being directed into data centers. New Jersey experienced a 22% increase in electric bills with data centers when they were introduced. So they're drawing a large number. They're very large. Crusoe Energy Systems in Abilene, Texas, is building a data center campus. They're actually going to provide the housing for their employees. They're actually going to have a little city in there. It's reported that when it's complete, it will be as large as Central Park in New York City. So they're very mammoth, the ones that are being considered in now. We're still at the edge of the technology, though. POET, P-O-E-T, that's what the name of their, it's all in caps, Technologies is a current Canadian company in Toronto. Maybe Mr. Strello, and they've heard of them, but they're developing an optimal interposer, which will allow light to be interjected and transport data between the two conductors, and thus cut back a large amount of the energy is using, a large amount of the water is being using. So that's still under development. With all of that, though, we have to come up and come to grips that they're here to come about, and we need to get standards. I do support the city looking at it and building up those standards, developing those standards, and see if they will fit. During that, I also will support any money within reason to hire outside consultants, because everything I read is still, we are, like I said, it's controlled under the oligarchs. We really don't know exactly what we're dealing with, and so how do you develop standards when you don't fully grasp the dynamics of it all? Things are happening. Memphis is Grok with Elon Musk. He's using gas turbines to run his. And of course, we aren't necessarily happy always with the product. We know that Grok with Elon Musk developed a racist Mickey Mouse with Grok, and also they figure, the experts say Grok has developed over 23,000 images, sexualized images of children. So we really don't even know how to harness it. And I read today as I drove here, Sam Altman, during the Elon Musk Sam Altman trial, says that he was flabbergasted because Elon Musk was wanted to pass AI on the children. So we really don't know what we're dealing with and how to deal with it and how we're going to develop standards and what we're going to use it with. One other, and just in closing, that doesn't mean just Oakley, by the way. In Oakley, they're looking at deltas to build the AI centers, the data centers. They're looking at the Mississippi Delta, the Louisiana Delta, and swampland in that area to build. So here we are in the Sacramento Delta, so they may not build in Oakley, or we may not have them here, but that doesn't mean that we may not be impacted with our neighbors or some other form with data centers being built. So I welcome, I wish my luck to our community development department. But anyway, so I don't like the wording, but I will vote aye on it as a result.
I would like to move approval.
I'll second it if it means I don't get to talk. That's fine. So, yeah, I'll second it. I really want this to move forward.
So we have a first and a second. We'll call for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Fuller?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Absolutely.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Meadows?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
We'll move to item 6, regular calendar, an update on the strategic plan 27 plus. Mr. McMurray.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the public. This is our 7th update to you all since we adopted the strategic plan in April of 2022. It's a 5-year plus plan, so we're in the 5th year of that plan now. And just to remind you all and the public, there are 6 goal areas with 182 objectives and goals, objectives to meet those goals. As the staff report and the strategic plan dashboard indicates, there are 3 different criteria that we use to analyze whether we've started. So we have category of complete, category of in progress, and a category of future not yet begun. For the 182 items, we have 41 completed. We have 137 in progress and 4 that have not started. But I think I was talking with the Assistant City Manager this afternoon. I think one of those, particularly our work with NGOs outside of the area, we do partner with them at our local events. So I think we could add that to the completed list. And so really only 3 have not been started. But that is a brief update on our strategic plan. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Questions for staff? I don't see any. I have not received any public comments on this. Did anybody wish from the public to speak on this? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for deliberation, or I'm looking for a motion to accept the update.
I will move that we receive the report as presented by Mr. McMurray.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Fuller?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Meadows?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
Item 6.2, adopt superseding resolution establishing rules of conduct for city council meetings, amending the codified technology disruption policy required by SB 707, and the staff report will be given by our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So we've done a presentation on SB 707, and our staff is working on the technological upgrades. And we will be providing 2-way remote access to our meetings, starting at our meetings in July. So that means that the public will be able to participate here in this chambers and can address the council at that lectern. But also the public will have the ability to be heard and to comment to council and to receive a live stream, 2-way live stream. They already can see 1-way, but there will be a 2-way live stream starting in July. One of the requirements of SB 707 is to have a technological disruption policy, so that, in the inevitable event that technology fails, as it tends to do, there is a written summary of what the procedure will be. And so that's what's before you. Just as a programming note, some city councils are adopting these separately, just have a resolution standalone. It was my judgment and as an executive decision that we would add this to our current meeting policies and procedures. If that's something that as you deliberate you'd rather not do, you'd rather extricate this and just have it as a standalone resolution, we can do that. I just felt like having one set of policies and procedures that govern our meetings, having it all in one place made sense. And so we're not here to talk about the other parts of the policy tonight. Those have remained the same. All we're adding to it is the technological disruption piece. And so basically what will happen if we have technological disruption is we'll stop the meeting and we will work with IT staff to find out what the problem is. Is it a front-end problem? Is it a back-end problem? Is it connection? Is it some gremlin somewhere, having fun at our expense? We'll do what we can to correct the situation. We will recess until that situation is corrected, and then we will go back into session. there is a 1 hour threshold, and this is actually written into the statute. So if we get to the 1 hour mark, then we can continue the meeting, but we have to make findings. You have to make a finding that there is a need to continue the meeting that's outlined in this policy, so that, you know, if you have business to be done, you can do the business. If, you know, there's just some situation we cannot fix after that hour. I hope we will never have to deal with that. And thus far, I don't think we've been in that situation with the technology we're using. One thing that is nice for us as a council is that we do our closed sessions after our meetings. There are a lot of councils and boards that do them before. So one convenient thing is, if it looks like it's going to take some time to work through the IT issues, we can convene in closed session, do a closed session while the situation is fixed, and then we can come back out when it's okay to start up again. So this policy provides for that. This policy also provides for, you know, recording of the situation, and it's pretty self-explanatory. I've described it in the staff report. I think the policy is explained as indicated in the attached changes, which I show in red line. So it's obviously your pleasure. If you want me to bring this back as just a standalone resolution, we can do that. But if you want to include this as part of our current policies, which I think makes the most sense, just again, because we want to have all of it in one document, we can approve that tonight. It's at your pleasure. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff? Councilmember Fuller?
Yes, obviously you've put in a lot of work in this. I appreciate that. You've covered many bases. And with technology that we just discussed, things are changing in terms of the dais. But when I read through it, I didn't see anything for a disabled council member. So say a council member needs closed captioning on their own machine, but to participate, they need closed captioning, and poof, it goes down, and poof, it doesn't come back up. And so can they reconvene even though the council member does not have the proper accommodations? Another one that comes up is we are now going to allow disabled council members, or even council members that can't find a babysitter, as they say, and they'll be at home. So all of a sudden our IT goes poof, and we wait an hour and we can't get it back up. What happens if we reconvene and go forward? How are we going to exclude those council members? And of course, then, say a council member needs voice assistance. They're mute. They cannot speak. What are they going to use to communicate should reconvene? And then in closed session, if you go into closed session and the council members are using closed captioning, how's the council member going to participate in closed session? So those things popped in my mind. I don't know if you thought about them, but I certainly did.
There's nothing in this policy that addresses that. And unfortunately, I don't know how to address that, because if technology doesn't work after an hour, then, you know, the captioning won't work, the two-way broadcast won't work. And so in that situation, the council will have to make a finding that the need to continue the meeting exists. The findings are outlined here. But if technology isn't working, we can't provide captioning. And so at that point, you know, we can look at other options in terms of, you know, having standby ADA accommodations. I don't know if we need earpieces or other things. That's not addressed in this policy.
I'm thinking at the most extreme, can we go into recess until the system is repaired, say 2 days later, and reconvene?
I mean, again, some of this is stuff, I mean, this is a general policy that we're going to have to follow, but one option, if you get to that 1 hour point and the technology just isn't cooperating, you'd have to make a finding to continue on that evening. Another option would be, well, you'd really have two options. One is you can just cancel the rest of the meeting and continue it until the next meeting. A second option would be you could call a special meeting. But a third option is you can adjourn the meeting to a different night. And so technically it's not a different meeting, it's just you're stopping the meeting and resuming it a couple days later. Those are all options we would have to look at. I don't know that we can address these very intricate, detailed questions with this policy. I think those are the types of things that would have to be handled if and when we get to that point. I hope we never do. But one option would be to simply adjourn the meeting to another evening, as you say, 2 days later, if that is a time when everyone can reconvene.
Okay, is there any way, I know the way I'm reading it, the way I read it, let's put it that way, is that the council after an hour can vote to reconvene, and if they vote to reconvene, the meeting goes forward. Can we add in there, the council can, after an hour and the IT is not there, they can vote to reconvene, or if absolutely necessary, to find other means to bring the meeting forward. I don't know if that's the right language, but something along that line.
The count. I mean, that's at your pleasure. I mean, if you want to amend the, we have paragraph B4, which is the finding section, which says you have to make a finding that the public interest in continuing the meeting outweighs the public interest in remote access. So, if you want to add something to address the situation, or to add another paragraph, we can do that. That's at your pleasure.
That's my brother, but.
Councilmember Shaw.
So my concern with some of that would be, like, if we have a public hearing notice that's got a very specific date, how would it work if we had to then say 2 days later, or, I guess maybe the alternative here is instead of shall, it can be may. So, right, so if you go to paragraph, 4, the very second to last page, C, it says, if remote access is not restored after 1 hour, the city council shall reconvene. Maybe we could just change that to may, so that way there is an option. So if we don't have something date specific, we would be able to do those things. But I think that would, meaning we're not going to absolutely, reconvene and just do the business. We still have to find the findings. But if we have something very date specific that we need to finish, but I think the shall to may might satisfy.
Moving that first that first shall in paragraph C to may, I think, would be a good addition.
Okay.
And that would confirm.
So it would give us the
discretion.
option if we didn't have any date specific things and we wanted to move it, like Councilmember Fuller said, we would be able to have that option. But if we were very date specific, so the may just gives us the option. So.
Agreed. And just so it's clear, if you have a public hearing that evening and you continue the meeting to another meeting and you continue the public hearing on the record, you can do that. If you adjourn the meeting, you can still hold the public hearing at the adjourned meeting without having to do a new public hearing notice.
I'm just thinking, like, we had a packed house here one day, and could you imagine us saying, hey, technology is down, guys, we're going to have to do this in a couple days. People could be taking time. There's different circumstances that are going to be happening. So I think giving us as a council that option, we can kind of assess it situation by situation.
My closed captioning is far behind you, Councilmember Shaw. Can somebody be a little bit more specific? What's being proposed?
What's being proposed is to change the first shall in paragraph C on page 10 of 11 of the policies to may.
May adjourn?
Shall to may. Shall to may.
So instead of shall, which would be kind of, we're going to do it, we may, which means we have the option to assess the situation of the night. So it makes it more of an option that we can address the 5 of us.
I would like it to be a little bit stronger. I mean, there's readers. Say a council member needs a reader for whatever reason that they are not able to read documents that are put up on the screen, and they have a screen reader to read it for them. They can use an earpiece, and they can read it for them to go through. That person would be cut out. So if we say may, but what happens if you're in the middle of a hot debate, and then you just say, well, yeah, but we know what? We're going to reconvene anyway. And immediately anybody that's in the audience, that's a council member or can't use a
Point of order right now, we're in questions for staff. We'll get to your point there when we get to deliberation.
Okay.
I don't see any further questions for staff. We'll move it to public comment. I do not have any public comments for this, so we'll move it back to council for deliberation. Not seeing any deliberation.
I move approval of item 6.2, adoption of superseding resolution establishing rules of conduct for city council meetings, making the change that council member Shaw pointed out, changing shall to may.
I'll second.
So we have a first and a second. Call for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Fuller?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Meadows?
Yes.
Mayor Henderson?
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
Item 7, reports. 7.1, City Manager's Report. Mr. McMurray.
Yeah, just a few items. In addition to the April business license list that has been attached to the agenda, I wanted to notify the council and the public of several community events that are coming up. This coming Friday, May 15th, we have Movies on Main starting up, first movie of the year. That will begin at dusk, and we are showing Zootopia 2. We have our Memorial Day ceremony on May 23rd here at Civic Center Plaza at the amphitheater. That will start at 10 a.m. Our Juneteenth celebration will take place on June 13th from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. here also at Civic Center Plaza. And lastly, it is early, but we are preparing for it as internally before our Summerfest celebration, June 27th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. here at Civic Center Plaza and on Main Street. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to 7.2, council members' reports. Councilmember Shaw.
All right, since our last meeting on the 30th, I attended a Cal Cities East Bay Division meeting in Fremont. The topic was e-bikes. I'm sure Councilmember Williams will share all of the wonderful ideas that we were given on that topic. On May 4th, a subcommittee meeting with the school districts. Great conversations and more collaboration. On the 5th, library subcommittee meeting. Happy to, those that haven't seen the agenda, we're moving to the Planning Commission on the May 19th for that to go to them for a vote. So please join in or listen in if you'd like. On the 6th, I had a subcommittee meeting with the East Bay Regional Communication Board. We are looking to expand services and members in Contra Costa County. On the 6th, I also attended the Oakley PD 10-year celebration. On the 7th, Tri-Delta Transit Shred-It event at the Oakley Park and Ride. It was a huge success. We had 3 trucks, Supervisor Burgess and Supervisor Scales Preston put in together to give us a 3rd truck, so we were able to serve everybody that showed up. And then on the 7th, I attended the Family Justice Center Gala, and that's it.
Vice Mayor Meadows.
Since our last meeting, I attended the Oakley PD celebration, 10th anniversary celebration, and then last Thursday, I attended Contra Costa Transportation Authority Planning Committee meeting.
Councilmember Williams.
Since our last meeting, I attended the Cal Cities East Bay Division meeting. We did talk a lot about e-bikes and where the state needs to step in. They talked about a bunch of different legislation that's happening. For local control, they did suggest we could still set our own speed limits and making sure that we're empowering law enforcement to be able to recognize and enforce. There was an ask of legislators to have color coding for each class of bikes. We did get some ideas that I know our team shared with the school district, but there's some school districts who all the children who park at the high school have to take a 2-hour class with a parent. And so they were suggesting maybe we expand that to lower grades as well for e-bikes, as well as high schools. The CHP does host a free class. They did have an observation of 19 middle and high schools throughout the Bay Area. And this is very anecdotal information, but only 12% of the e-bikes were clearly legal. And as people probably are aware, powered scooters and electric bikes are quickly overtaking other riding injuries. 70% of fatalities, whether it's conventional bikes or e-bikes, it is results from interactions with cars, while injuries usually are just from solo accidents. I also attended the Contra Costa Mayor's Conference. We had a presentation from the newly formed, 3 years old, Library Foundation of Contra Costa. They are forming collaboration with other support groups, and they wanted to highlight that some funders only work with county-wide organizations. So that helps with opportunities that cities like ours, trying to get our library off the ground, wouldn't normally have access to. They were talking about some of the other programming they do. They served 4,000 lunches during summer in their lunch and library sessions, and they are asking for us to send board members their way. They want to expand the board. They want diversity of age, income, gender. It is a 3-year term, a max of 2 terms. I can connect you. I also attended the Oakley PD 10-year anniversary and the Tri-Delta Shred-It event.
And since our last meeting, I attended Friday Night Bites, the school interagency agency committee, the library subcommittee, a wonderful event for the 10-year anniversary for the police department, mayor's conference, and yesterday we had Delta 6, which is the mayor and city managers of Antioch, Brownwood, Pittsburgh, and both supervisors' office. 7.2B, any requests for future agenda items? Councilmember Williams.
We currently have standards for commercial properties for their light spillage. And so I would like us to look at what we can do for residential properties that are interfering with their neighbors because of their light spillage. So just a workshop or something that we could talk about different ideas of how we can get ahead of that.
I think it's worth talking about, so I'll second.
Okay, I don't see any further. Before we go into our work session, based on the time, would the council like to take a 5-minute break before we go into the work session, or do you guys want to continue on? Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break and then we'll go into the work session. Okay, we'll bring the meeting back to into session. Item 8, work sessions. 8.1, Contra Costa County Regional Alternative Compliance, RAC, Joint Powers Authority work session. Work session is discuss City of Oakley's participation in the ROC JAP, and this staff report will come from our Assistant City Engineer.
Good evening, Mayor Henderson, Vice Mayor Meadows, other City Council members. My name is Brianne Visaya. I'm the Assistant Engineer here at the City of Oakley Public Works Department. I also serve as the city's primary stormwater coordinator with support from our Public Works Director, Enrinta Perkins.
Can we move you up to the microphone just a little bit more? We're having a
Sorry.
hard time hearing you up here.
First one. Okay, can you hear me better now? Okay, perfect. With the support of our Public Works Director, Enrinta Perkins, our Senior Principal with Geocentech Consultants, the city's stormwater consultant. Since becoming our consultant in July 2023, Geocentech and Enrinta have played a key role in helping the city navigate increasingly rigorous stormwater regulatory requirements established by the Water Board, including preparation and submittal of the city's annual report. This evening, Renta will present information on the Contra Costa County Regional Alternative Compliance, or RAC system. The RAC system is a collaborative initiative led by cities of San Ramon and Walnut Creek, together with unincorporated Contra Costa County, in partnership with the U.S. EPA through a San Francisco Bay Water Quality Improvement Fund grant. The program was developed to pilot a regional compliance approach within Contra Costa County. In response to evolving and increasingly complex stormwater compliance requirements, the Contra Costa Clean Water Program, consisting of 21 jurisdictions, collaborated over several years with the Water Board and legal counsel to develop this program. The RAC system is intended to provide jurisdictions with a flexible, cost-effective, and scientifically defensible option for meeting municipal regional permit C3 requirements through off-site, post-construction stormwater treatment implementation. Please give a warm welcome to Renta Perkins.
Thank you, Ms. Visaya. Can you hear me all right? Yes? Okay. Good evening, Mayor Henderson, Vice Mayor Meadows, council members, Oakley city staff, and members of the public. I am speaking tonight on behalf of the Contra Costa Clean Water Program as its interim program manager. Thank you for inviting me tonight to present on the Contra Costa County Regional Alternative Compliance. As Ms. Visaya mentioned, we call it the RAC system. I'll move this on. Oops. Okay. All right. Clean Water Program is a consortium of 19 cities, towns, the unincorporated county, and the flood control district. Established in 1991, the program's primary objective is to coordinate and implement countywide and regional activities as required by our Municipal Regional Stormwater Permit, or MRP. Our member agency must comply with this permit issued by the San Francisco Regional Water Quality Control Board. This permit contains significant requirements for installing low-impact development facilities, referred in this presentation as Green Stormwater Infrastructure, or GSI. You could see on the slide here an example of a bioretention facility that is one of the examples of those GSI. Any new and redevelopment projects creating 5,000 square feet or more of impervious areas must treat their runoff with on-site GSI. This requirement applies to roadway reconstruction and frontage improvement. Municipalities must also meet a specified GSI retrofit target for treating existing impervious surfaces before June 30th of next year. For the city of Oakley, the target is to treat 2.55 acres of existing impervious areas. Additionally, the San Francisco Bay has mercury and PCB TMDL, total maximum daily loads. So this is the water quality standard of how much PCB and mercury can enter the San Francisco Bay. And so installing GSI in targeted areas help to meet this goal. Many municipalities face challenges in meeting this requirement due to limited land availability, conflicts with underground utilities, and other site constraints. Aside from the initial capital costs of designing and constructing these projects, city also have the obligation to maintain, repair, and replace them on an ongoing basis. And as you know, grant funding can cover construction costs only, typically, but it's not usually available to fund ongoing O&M. And I mentioned earlier about the mercury and PCB TMDL. Within Contra Costa County, these pollutants are primarily found in old industrial areas along the edges of San Francisco Bay. So in our county, there are only 4 cities where PCB are likely to be found. So Richmond, the county, San Pablo, and Pittsburgh. Since Oakley does not have old industrial areas, meeting this requirement would be very difficult. So to meet the permit requirement while overcoming the challenges I mentioned previously, the Clean Water Program developed the REC system. It provides a flexible, cost-effective, and scientifically defensible off-site alternative compliance option for new and redevelopment projects. Cities, private developers, and other entities such as Caltrans can participate. REC system offers a framework for funding and building regional GSI projects that treat runoff from much larger areas. These projects are typically more cost-effective to construct per treated acreage and can be strategically located, such as in old industrial areas, to address PCB and mercury TMDL. Beyond water quality benefits, they can also revitalize communities by transforming underutilized spaces into functional GSI. One city manager described this REC system as a redevelopment tool for her city. Many municipalities struggle to fund ongoing O&M, so this system will incorporate a sustainable long-term funding source for maintenance. So first, we'd like to acknowledge the U.S. EPA Region 9 San Francisco Bay Office that has funded the development and implementation of the REC system through its grant. This system was made possible due to provisions within our permit allowing an alternative compliance option, which became the legal basis of the system. It has gone through numerous technical, legal, and regulatory reviews with contribution from numerous agency partners and stakeholders as shown on this slide. And I just want to also note that the San Francisco Regional Water Board has acknowledged and endorsed the REC system as the only system currently meeting the permit requirement for an alternative compliance option. So in the next slide, I will provide an overview how the system works. So think of the REC system as a regional stormwater in lieu fee, managed as a credit trading or banking system with sellers, buyers, and a centralized REC administrator. So here's how it works. We start with the seller, which is at the top, noted in the orange color box. This can be a public agency or a private entity that design and construct off-site GSI projects. This project generates compliance units, which represent the amount of treated or green areas. One example of how the REC system could be applied to the city of Oakley is, say, a beautification project of the West Cypress, where underutilized strip of land alongside the road can be retrofit as bioretention facilities to treat runoff from the street. City of Oakley may consider depositing those excess compliance unit into the REC system for other agency to purchase or private developers to purchase. Therefore, City of Oakley could recover a portion of its capital investment costs while also receiving some ongoing O&M fund. Now, if you would go down to the bottom, which is the buyers, this is noted in the blue color boxes. This can also be public agency, private developers, or Caltrans. The buyers will pay a one-time upfront cost to the seller to purchase this compliance unit. So this will cover the capital cost of the construction. Additionally, the buyers are required to pay O&M costs of the GSI facility they benefit from. Now, in the middle, in the green color boxes, these are the REC administrator. Certify the transaction of compliance units, collects payment from the buyers, ensure that O&M activities are carried out, and also responsible for the annual reporting. In this scenario, the administrator role is assumed by a joint powers authority, which I will explain in the next slide. And the last box is Community Facility District, which is noted in the gray box. We have found that this CFD to be the appropriate mechanism to collect and manage long-term O&M costs in a reliable and sustainable manner. So here is the organizational structure of the REC system. On the left, you have the Joint Powers Authority, or JPA. Currently, 16 out of our 21 member agency have expressed interest in joining the JPA. In this setup, the JPA serves two primary functions. The first one is to act as the REC system administrator, as I mentioned, overseeing the transaction and the payment, certification of compliance unit, making sure that the projects are properly maintained, as well as preparing annual report. The second function is to form and administer a CFD to manage the ongoing maintenance and operations costs. Under this arrangement, only participating JPA members can sell or buy compliance units through the REC system for their capital improvement projects for private developers, nonprofit, and other entities within their jurisdiction. So let's expand a little bit on the implementation. Many cities and counties are probably members of joint powers authorities. The purpose of this REC system is very similar to what you may have experienced. A REC JPA is formed to create a legal entity separate from its member agency. It has its own liabilities, debt, and obligations that are independent of the members. This JPA can only be formed through the approval of a joint powers agreements by the City Council and the County Board of Supervisors. Clean Water Program has circulated the JPA agreement to city and county attorneys for review, and we have revised this accordingly. The agreement contains provisions for admitting new members, outlining roles and responsibilities, indemnification, and so forth. To avoid unfunded liabilities and pension risk, the JPA will not hire its own employees. Instead, it will rely on member agency staff and third-party contractors, consultants, and legal firms to manage its operations. So please keep in mind that the REC JPA is intended for projects only. So I just want to pause and underline this notion. This is not the same as the Solid Waste Authority JPA, which cover all residents within the jurisdiction. This particular JPA only applies to selected property owners who choose to purchase or sell compliance unit to meet their permit requirement obligation. And last is there will be some shared JPA administration costs, such as on-call legal services, bookkeeping, auditing, managing the operation, reporting, and so forth. So these costs will be split equally among members. So I want to move to CFD now. One of the primary goals of the REC system, again, is to create a long-term sustainable mechanism that ensure private buyers contribute to the ongoing O&M costs of public and privately owned GSI project. Fortunately, the Melrose Act already provides a legal framework for this approach. It authorizes the formation of Community Facilities District, or CFD, which can levy special taxes to finance maintenance, including repair and replacement of flood and storm protection services on both public and private property. Under the Joint Powers Agreement, the JPA would have the authority to form the CFD, levy special taxes within member agency territories. Once the agreement is signed, the JPA would handle the entire CFD formation process, requiring no further action from initial members. The process begins by identifying a private buyer seeking to join the CFD to meet their project mitigation obligation, followed by adopting resolutions, holding public hearings, and conducting a landowner election to finalize the formation. Once a future annexation area is established, it includes one or more parcels as the initial CFD boundary and jurisdictions over all initial participants. The designation enables a much faster annexation process than traditional methods. It requires only the property owner's signature on a unanimous approval form. These forms serve as their official vote to join the district and accept the special tax levy in future years. So no additional steps are needed beyond that signature. When a new public agency joins the JPA, sometimes in the future, its parcel must be added to the future annexation area. And to accomplish this, the JPA board would adopt a resolution of intention to expand the CFD and annexation area, followed by a second resolution at least 30 days after the public hearing. If a parcel within that new territory is ready, it can also be added to the CFD boundary at that time. Just want to clarify, this special tax will only be levied upon property owners who purchase compliance unit to fulfill the permit requirement for their development projects. Okay, so let's cover just briefly where we're at, what's the next step and timeline. We have delivered informational workshop to various stakeholders group last year with the city managers, city engineers, public works directors, planning directors, and so forth. We have held several JPA formation meetings with interested agencies to discuss operational and logistic matters. We anticipate forming the JPA by the end of the fiscal year. And the reason is that we receive regional funding, and that funding ends June 30th. So because of that, there is an incentive to try to complete or wrap up the JPA task because it's already the fund has already been allocated. Concurrently, we are identifying projects to exchange. We have one project ready to be exchanged under this system, and that is a Green Street project in San Pablo. We also have one private developer interested in building GSI on an underutilized parking lot within an old industrial area. We have initiated a conversation with Caltrans District 4 office in Oakland regarding their needs for off-site mitigation measure and potential funding opportunities. If you remember, Highway 37 from Vallejo to Sonoma, Caltrans has been trying to widen those roads, but as you know, there are wetlands on both sides, so they are not able to mitigate the runoff. So Caltrans is in need to purchase off-site compliance elsewhere. So we plan to circulate the CFD terms this summer with the goal of establishing the CFD future annexation boundaries by the end of October. With this schedule, we hope to initiate our first compliance unit exchanges in the fall of this year. As I mentioned, currently we have 16 agencies that have expressed interest in joining the JPA. Out of the 16, 13, they have the council meeting dates. We we have finalized the REC JPA agreement. We'd like to invite interested agency to continue participate in future discussion. We prepare some additional resources that can help with the permitting staff, for example, to reach out their stakeholders and development community. And the next step for the agency is to have their governing board adopt the resolution to form the REC JPA. As I mentioned, there is a strong incentive to complete JPA-related tasks before June 30th because of the regional funding. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time, and I'm available to answer questions you may have.
Questions, Councilmember Fuller?
Yes. Are you talking about just a GPA for the future, or would there be an imposition of a tax retro for becoming involved in this on each homeowner?
Not on every. So I just want to clarify, the JPA formation is current at this point. Now, you mentioned future taxation on every homeowner, and that is not correct. The taxation is only levied on the property owners or landowners or who has decided to purchase compliance unit. So think of it this way. Just going to give you an example. You may have a downtown core areas where that area is needed for housing, and there is no space to put bioretention on that land because you need every parcel, lot to lot, for this development projects. That developer may choose, instead of constructing the bioretention on site and therefore remove available land for housing, that developer may choose to purchase compliance unit elsewhere, and that developer will be taxed. It's very project specific.
So, well, explain then how somebody outside the GPA that's buying a compliance unit, what would be the incentive to inherit a tax for another area?
The JPA members, I'm going to give you an example. The one example that I mentioned earlier is a project which is a Green Street project with it that the city of San Pablo has built, has constructed. And the city of San Pablo has access compliance unit that they would like to sell through, think of the REC system like the clearinghouse. So they deposit 5 acres of compliance unit into the REC system. And I just give a presentation to the city of Hercules. They actually need to purchase 1.5 acres, which they do not have the space to build the projects. So they, through the REC system, purchase 1.5 acres out of the 5 acres that the city of San Pablo deposited. And for public to public, there is no CFD because obviously public agency cannot be levy taxes like that. So the REC system will then facilitate the transaction. They decide, they discuss what the cost would be, and then the buyer would then have to pay their prorated share, which is the cost to construct that 1.8 acres area treated, along with the O&M cost to cover 30 years of maintenance.
How many years?
30 years.
30?
30 years.
Sorry, council member. What happens then?
So the thing is that when you look at low impact development, you're talking about maintenance, landscape maintenance, and this is not a mechanical kind of maintenance system. So it involves pruning. Maybe there might be some eroded slope that needs to be reestablished. Maybe there needs to be a replacement of some of the soil because it's compacted. So what's going to happen is that each project will have its own escrow account so that there is no commingle between project to project, right? Because one project may have 5 bioretention, the other project may have 1 bioretention. So we want to make sure that the escrow account pays for its own maintenance dedicated to that project.
Okay, there was, I think it's page 19 of your slide deck. There is a regression analysis of capital investment. If you can bring it up. It was
1 second.
It's a capital investment. It's the only chart that I saw that I remember. Not that one, but there's another one. You have a dot.
Tell me when to stop. This one?
No, I was.
There's only 18 slides in my presentation.
Yeah, it was page.
Maybe?
Mine was, okay. Let's see if I can find it here.
You can tell me to stop. Maybe you may want me to scroll back.
It's not in your slide deck.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. I have page 20 of 41. If you bring up your slide deck, it's page 20 of 41, and it's regression analysis. How much do we expect the compliance units to cost? And it's a regression chart. I'm trying to get what you're trying to say, that if the more...
Oh, yes, I see. Yes, okay. Is
we can
this
reduce
one?
costs by more units. Dot chart, yeah.
Again, chart. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, how much do we expect?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, this one. Yes, okay.
Yeah,
all
there
right.
we
Thank
are.
you.
There we
Yes,
are. And
thank
you have
very
a,
much.
it's
Yes,
a regression
yes,
one.
That's right. That's right. Okay, thank you very much.
I'm not sure what I quite.
Yes. So there has been a cost study done as part of the grant project funded by EPA that found the cost to construct a parcel-based project actually, vary, right? Now, one thing to note, again, City of San Pablo built Green Street projects. Imagine, right-of-way is very tight. There is a lot of utility underground. There needs to be some relocation. In the case of City of San Pablo, they receive grant funding. Now, there has been a cost study that has been done and found that regional projects actually are cheaper, a lot cheaper to construct per square area treated. That's the kind of investment that the REC system is looking for, right? Because it's not just one parcel, think of, I don't know, maybe Chevron gas station. I'm thinking, at the corner, they have to put in bioretention. I mean, it's a small site, but still they have to do some design, some planning, some construction, versus a much larger area having to do all of those, but then it created a much larger drainage area. So the cost per unit can be cheaper.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
I had to remind myself of what my question was. So if we're participating in a JPA, right? You gave the example of West Cypress, right? There's a beautification project, we have excess, whatever. If it's in the JPA, that takes away this council's authority, right? Because the JPA has authority over it. So wouldn't.
No, so that project belongs to Oakley. It will remain to be Oakley authority. The JPA is only a facilitator.
Okay.
So let's say, we will put in some, they call it tracking tool, so that if there is a potential buyers within downtown of Oakley who want to purchase, they can see the map. Oh, there is some acreage available for me to sell.
Okay, perfect. So it wouldn't be like the JPA wouldn't say, hey, you're not utilizing that land. We think you should do this. Okay.
No, it
cool.
doesn't take that away. It remains, we have no authority over your
land
use or even your decisions. Let's say you
Perfect.
decided, I don't want that site land strip, but I want to neck down because I'm not familiar with West Cypress. Let's say West Cypress is really wide and people just driving fast and you want to have a road diet, and you decided, the best way is to put some median in the middle. It's to your discretion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Meadows.
Okay. Let's go back to the 30 years, because I don't think you really answered. So,
30 years.
So a project's built, and the units are sold, and then the CFD is pushing money to the project owner for maintenance. But after 30 years, then what happens?
We'll continue to maintain that. The thing is that it's just for simplicity of the payment. The calculation of the O&M is right now is set at 30 years. Now, once the JPA is formed, that's why we would like to wait until before June 30th. We would like to invite the participating agency to give us feedback. Is 30 years too short? Maybe you want 50 years. So that is part of the calculation, but based on the cost study that we have done on the operation and maintenance.
What happens to that project after that?
It will remain. So let's say
Who's going to pay for the maintenance then?
The
CFD will continue to pay.
Yes, that's right.
It could be okay.
That's right.
I wouldn't mention the 30-year component.
Yes.
Good evening, Councilmember Meadows. I would imagine that this agreement would be negotiated as far as what it would look like. And I could understand your concern for 30 years. What happens? Does somebody just cut off the water and stop pruning the trees and shrubs? I think those questions are valid, and it's up to us to negotiate that and have an agreement set in place to make sure that there's continuity. But as far as an infrastructure for landscaping, 30 years is a long time. You would probably need to refresh at some point.
Well, I understand that. I would imagine that would be in the O&M budget. So, okay. You'd mentioned PCBs.
PCBs, yeah.
And the way I'm understanding it, we're responsible for a certain share of PCBs.
So 76 cities, towns, and county within the San Francisco Bay Area, including the East County, share one permit. It's the municipal regional permit, and it has provisions for legacy pollutants such as PCB and mercury. And the intention is not for one particular city to have the burden to remove the PCB. I mentioned in Contra Costa County, there are 4 cities where PCB are likely to be found. So in this regard, we are looking for regional solution to be able to meet those requirements together. Now, I understand because I gave a presentation to Orinda, and you can imagine Orinda does not even have PCB. I mean, there are 21 member agency, and there's only four that has old industrial. That leaves 17 with no way of meeting those, right? So what the REC system can potentially do, we mentioned Caltrans. So Caltrans is looking to offset their project. And we, as a group, Contra Costa Clean Water Program, have identified, we're trying to identify locations within those 4 cities where it would treat old industrial areas. So paid by Caltrans have this regional project that treats old industrial areas. So we collectively thinks that could bring benefits to all.
Okay, well, so I understand you're the messenger. But I mean, Richmond benefited from all that development and all those PCBs for all those years. It wasn't Oakley benefiting from it. It was Richmond or Pittsburgh, And so now we're, 100 years down the road, and these basically unelected bureaucrats sitting on some of these boards are cramming this stuff on us to pay for, when we didn't get any benefit out of it. We were a little farming town, sort of, at that time.
That's right.
So Pittsburgh should pay for it, and Richmond should pay for it, and Oakland should pay for it, in those areas, not us. But I understand it's like I said, you're just the messenger. So you talked about the entities that form the JPA funding the JPA. How is that funding going to be spread across X number of entities? Is it going to be, 20 entities, 100 grand, 20 entities each paying 5, or is it going to be based on population?
Right now, the methodology is to split equally, and
Equally based on what?
Among the number of agency. So right now we are looking, the first year is roughly about $3,000 per agency per the first year. And there has been some interest we receive feedbacks to try to keep the JPA cost very low. Because the idea of this JPA is just to be the vehicle to be able to form the CFD. But the bottom line is any costs associated with the exchanges, whether to purchase or to buy, will fall on the buyers and the sellers, not the JPA. And we understand that the JPA happen to be the public agency, and I know that financial constraint is real, so we take that into account.
Okay, so my comment is I think it should be based on pro rata share. Again, Richmond's the largest city in the second largest, third largest city in the county. Benefited from all that industrial use, going back 100 years.
Yeah.
And they're 3 times our size, but we have to pay the same. I don't think that's how it should be. And I'm not telling you, with these questions, don't take it that I'm opposed to it.
That's all right.
I understand the need. I'll support it. It's voluntary for the buyers.
That's right.
But I don't think we should be paying the same amount as a bigger city. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
That's all I have right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And then for clarification, somebody has a project within the city of Oakley and we're part of this JPA. They have the ability to either mitigate on site.
That's right.
Or they have the ability to buy their
That's right.
Their credits.
That's where. Right. It's just an option, one more option in the toolbox that you can offer to your development community if you wish so. But you're right. The idea, there's always the interest of being able to construct the GSI on site. That's always been the desire. But for some reason, it's not always materialized that way. Town of Danville have the veterans projects that require them to remove on-street parking so that they can build bioretention. So when I present this to Supervisor Candace Anderson, she thought, well, wouldn't it be great if we have this option of purchasing compliance units so we do not lose on-street parking? You have no idea how many calls I get from losing this on-street parking. That's just one example.
Well, and it really depends on geographically where the properties are located. So, we typically don't have the same constraints as,
right.
And Danville is not a great example. For that, I understand. But like if you get into Richmond or you get into some of the more urban areas, they were built out. And so if they're redeveloping, there's not the room for this. Whereas, we're pretty wide open. There's still the room. So.
Right.
Any more questions or comments? Councilmember Williams.
And we constantly have issues with the fees that we're paying in stormwater, right? Like, could these fees, if we sold something, could that help to offset how much is coming out of our general fund?
Potentially.
Okay.
Are we looking for any more feedback, or?
I think we're looking for clear direction. Is this something the council wants us to proceed with? Because if it is, we have to start working on it, and we would start bringing things back to the city council. So I think we do need clear direction. Is it something you're interested in, or is it something you're not?
Okay, Councilmember Fuller.
Yes, first. A lot of time into it, and very well put together. And I appreciate that, especially the graph. I thought that had a lot to add to it. Myself, as far as I would have to read the whole plan before I could commit. I would have to see it written down and go through it to digest it before I made a final commitment as to implementing the plan. So, but overall, I think you put a lot of work into it. It's interesting. So, yeah.
Vice Mayor Meadows.
Were you coming up to answer my question?
Good evening, Councilmember Fuller. Our plan is to put together, if the council wishes to move forward with a staff to presenting this in the next city council meeting, we would put together the documents necessary for your review.
That's fine. I mean, yes, if you're coming back for a motion, that's going to be what I'm going to be looking for. Let's put it that way. Yes, or with an agenda item. Right. Thank you.
So, I mean, Mr. McMurray kind of alluded to it, but what, I mean, does staff have comments on this? I mean, is this something that you see as a positive? And I mean,
certainly. As staff, seeing the development, I could see this as another option, as Rinta mentioned, for our development community and also our CIP projects. We do have certain CIP projects that could be constrained, as mentioned, maybe here downtown, we don't have space. If we were to redo certain segments of our roadways, if we don't, comparing the two options, if we don't sign up for the RAC, there's no options. We continue as is, the way we've been doing it, requiring projects, either development or CIP, to build the C3 facility on site. The other option is joining the RAC system allows flexibility for projects to be able to buy credits, as Rinta said, to be able to build projects offsite. Each project doesn't necessarily mean each project we built moving forward has to use this RAC system, but if that project is constrained, there is an option for the developer or us, if we had a project, to be able to use this system to be able to buy units.
do you see any downside?
The downside would be, I think it's something new, right? There's always an if with trying something new, but with the ongoing requirements from the water board, and things are getting more stringent as far as the requirements, and everything goes down to the cost. How are we able to make everything fit on site? I think this definitely gives us the flexibility to have creative options to be able to deliver projects while still being able to meet all the regulatory requirements upon us.
Thank you.
And I would just add, from my perspective, it doesn't lock us into doing anything. It just gives us flexibility, as was been mentioned a few times. And I think in our current state, when we have projects that might have some challenges, I think having options is better. And I think as we've been evaluating this for quite some time, I think it has a lot of things that are attractive to us as a municipal entity, but also to the private development community. So that's why we have chosen to bring it forward for you all to consider tonight.
I'm okay with moving forward.
I think you have a consensus.
You want me to say yes, so that make you feel better?
I would prefer, like a statement versus a nod of the head.
All right, I'm open to looking at it as a whole with all the documents. I do have some issues with the split costs from all the cities. And I also want to make sure we don't, I mean, listen, a developer right now has to put it on their property, and this can be an incentive to get more houses. And so I want to make sure that there's something that we're not finding it like totally abused, and then 30 years down the road, we are like, well, city, you've got all this development, and the JPA, I mean, I know that's meant to be around forever, ever, and always, but then let's say something happens, and now we've got all these properties that don't have stormwater contained. So those are just some of my thoughts, but that doesn't mean I'm not willing to look at it. I think those could be potentially addressed when I get to hear it for a vote.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I don't necessarily love in lieu fees for things, just because, I mean, it's just a paper exchange, right? I mean, we're just saying, oh, our carbon footprint's not that bad because we bought something over here, right? So I don't necessarily love those, but I know we struggle with a couple different areas, one being the increasing cost of our own stormwater regulation. So if we can find something that can offset it, that makes sense. And two, I think if we have development opportunities that we can't utilize for one reason or another, I think this at least gives us a viable option. So I'm cautiously in favor of something like this. So.
And then I think it's another tool in the toolbox that gives us some opportunities. So I do think it's worked in there. And I do agree with the council members that, the way the costs go, needs to be looked at. A lot like they've done in some of the other JPAs. Using the East, their radio system as an example or something. So,
thank you. May I offer one example, because I wanted to address Vice Mayor Meadows' concern with sending money or improving areas like enrichment. Why would Richmond benefit? So, I want to share one example. The REC is looking for a concept project in Richmond. It's Cutting Boulevard. I don't know whether you're familiar with Cutting Boulevard. There's a lot of old industrial, and Caltrans is interested in funding those projects. So that would benefit the REC JPA members, because Caltrans fund the project. That certainly reduce the contribution. There's almost no capital cost contribution coming from the JPA members. The commitment is contributing to the maintenance of the vegetations along Cutting Boulevard. So that's one concept that we are looking to work with Caltrans, and they certainly embrace that idea. I just want to, just offer that example. Thank you.
Does staff feel they have enough direction?
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item point 9, closed session. 9.1. Public employee performance evaluation, city manager. 9.2, conference with labor negotiators, agency designator, the mayor and vice mayor, unrepresented employee, the city manager. We will adjourn our meeting, go to closed session. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight.